Welcome to episode 9 of This Week in the Pentecostal Evangel. My name is Lisa Millen, and I'm professor of church history here at AGTS.
I'm Jason Sprinkle. I'm the assistant director of the Preaching Center.
And I'm Rick Wadholm, associate professor of Old Testament.
And I'm Bob Eby, associate professor of biblical exposition here at the seminary. We are so glad that you've joined us for another episode. And if you're finding this content interesting or valuable or helpful to you, we would really love to see you like, subscribe, and share this content to others who might find it valuable in their life and ministry.
Well, this edition of the Evangel is from March 3rd, 1996. A very bright-eyed Jason Sprinkle was about a month and a half from graduating from Central Bible College and
So
entering
idealistic.
into a lifetime of ministry, pastoral ministry. I had no idea what I was in for. This edition of the Evangel didn't help me with that.
But I don't know, breaking the sin cycle? Maybe that did help. No, maybe
It's
not.
important at every stage.
I will say, as we have looked at so many different editions of the Pentecostal Evangel, one of the things that jumped out to me in 1996 was that the magazine itself was considerably smaller. There was less substance, frankly. Much more colorful, obviously, but I did notice consistencies, right? There's still a strong emphasis on missions. There's a strong emphasis on evangelism and what our churches are doing, and there's practical spiritual help. One of the things that I was reminded of in this edition was on page 6. We were 46 weeks into A Psalm in My Heart by George Wood, and I did appreciate those as a young Bible college student, and I still appreciate that. And I now, having looked back at so many of these editions, you see that general superintendents regularly wrote in the Pentecostal Evangel and regularly engaged with Scripture. Dr. Wood, I think, did that very well. I probably didn't agree with all of it, but he always had a good, solid illustration.
Right.
Some of those probably got reused by me in sermons over the years. But I loved the devotional content of A Psalm in My Heart. And then after that was done, he moved on to the Gospel of Mark, I believe. Mm-hmm. But I had forgotten that these were in the Evangel, and I enjoyed them.
And they were turned into books.
They were turned into books.
And you probably can still get them. You can probably still find them.
I'm sure.
And I was curious, I don't know off the top of my head, he could not have been long into the general secretary's role in 96.
He was not.
It was relatively new. I mean, that was the kind of the Four Horsemen. That was the era of Trask, Garrison. No.
Bridges, Wood, and Crabtree.
Yeah. That's right.
As a young Bible college student, I skipped classes a day and went to headquarters for their installation, the four of those guys. And I really enjoyed that day.
Look at you. You are AG. I love that about you.
I took a beautiful picture with a very excited Charles Crabtree that day.
That he was getting a picture with you? He got excited?
I doubt very much. Yeah.
I feel like you would have an AG tattoo, except we don't do that. But I feel like that would be appropriate for that day to commemorate. I was just kidding.
I know. It's interesting to me that you went and had pictures taken with these guys, right? I used to make birthday cards called Happy Birthday from the people who matter, and I would cut out pictures from the Pentecostal Evangel, and they were really popular in college, actually. If anyone still has one that I made.
Oh my word. We are the nerdiest bunch of people in the assemblies of God. And no wonder we're doing this.
I was going to say, we're filming episodes on the Pentecostal Evangel.
Yeah, I guess that kind of answers the question.
I know. I'm like, there's no place to get pictures anymore. Anyways, that's really interesting, Jason. Thanks for sharing that. I was drawn to a couple of things in here. One of them is the AIMS missions, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thousands respond to ministry in cities of Belarus.
Yeah.
But what strikes me here is a couple of things, and that is these AIMS missions trips, right? These AIM trips. Mm-hmm. And so I just wonder how many of our readers have attended or participated in an AIMS trip.
Where did they go?
Yeah, where did you go? Yeah. So if you're out there, why don't you just send us a comment, tell us where you went and what year you went.
Isn't it an amazing thing to think how many thousands of Assemblies of God young people had their first experience with missions on a name trip, on a district sponsor
on
name
a
trip.
district sponsor. And that's the other thing. You went with the kids in your district,
Right.
And so there was that camaraderie that was built. I think you went on a
I went on a bunch as a student. I actually got national appointment for a number of years, serving one of our districts, leading teams, and there are students who serve in vocational ministry, including overseas, as a result of some of those trips.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's a
This is
great-
the impact on my own life.
It's a great recollection.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
How many of us have been changed, whether it was an Ames trip or a different vehicle to get there, but how many of us, our lives have been forever altered by a missions experience? I mean, I think that's a very Pentecostal experience.
Yeah. For me, it was a MAPS trip. That's the first thing I did was a MAPS trip to Germany in college. So the other thing that's interesting here is the missionary Larry Art is working with evangelist Steve Hill, and right before Pensacola, right?
We're literally months before
That's true.
the outbreaking of the Pensacola revival with evangelist Steve Hill. And, you know, so at this point, people would have read that name. Some would have known him because he was an evangelist.
Right.
But the vast majority probably of readers wouldn't have made a huge association with the name Steve Hill. But within a few months,
within a few
everybody
months.
would know that name.
Yeah. And this is Iowa, an Iowa youth director, Mark Oberbeck, and leading a group of AIM ambassadors in mission, for those of you who don't know.
The uninitiated to Assemblies of God across
That's right. That's right. That's what that is. So anyways, I thought that was really interesting.
You mentioned, Jason, in your article highlighting George Woods dealing with the Psalms, a future general superintendent. But we have another future general superintendent writing in this 1996 edition, and that is our current general superintendent, Doug Clay. There's an incredible line drawing of a very youthful,
Very young,
very youthful Doug Clay, and it's a question and answer column. And I don't know. I don't get the sense that this was a consistent article. Maybe it was.
I don't remember. He's
but
the national youth director.
He is at the time, the national youth director, or the I think even at the time
Secretary.
he was the secretary of the youth department. They hadn't changed the nomenclature yet. But it's about from a 17-year-old girl writing in asking, how do I discern the will of God? And first of all, the graphics on this just scream
90s.
1990s.
Yeah, they do.
I'm
The
like,
colors.
They really do.
I remember this phase of life. Yes.
the graphic.
Number two, the answer. I don't know how you guys feel about this. The answer that that the secretary of the youth department gave here is kind of a quintessential AG simple summary. How do you discern the will of God? Well,
Practical.
what's the Bible say?
Yep.
What do trusted wise counselors that are full of the Spirit say? And what do you hear in your heart from the Lord? I mean, those three things have been 3-point sermons preached in youth groups for generations on here's how we discern the will of God. You know, just a simple generalized answer. And again, and that was one of the things. Again, it's a single small article, so this is just acknowledging what it is. It's not meant to be a deep theological treatise, but it is this very common articulated kind of methodology where we discern the will of God in our
And you know,
tradition.
I won't pretend that I know Doug Clay well, but I have heard him speak on a number of occasions. And what struck me in reading this is it sounds like Doug Clay. You know, I can almost hear him saying this. And it was I almost read it internally in his voice, which probably was wrong, but
no, I think it's spectacular. It's spectacular.
like, you know, Doug could write this today and it would sound very much the same, I think.
Very likely.
Yeah, and the three questions he says to Carrie, that's the girl who's written it.
From Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, so
Carrie, if you're watching
out there, or if anyone knows Carrie from Columbus, Ohio.
We want to know if you figured out the will of God.
Who was 17 in, 1996. You know, the three tough decisions facing teenagers, what college to attend, who to marry, and what vocation to pursue.
We'd like to know what she did with all those. Where did you go to college?
Who
did you get married? And what do you do for a living? So drop a comment in the list there.
There we go. Amazing.
Wouldn't it be awesome if Carrie did find
That
us?
would be
incredible.
That would make me so happy. Carrie from Columbus.
Yeah, one of the things that jumped out at me in this particular issue was actually the interview with Joanne Butrin,
Yes.
with Healthcare Ministries, right? And sometimes in my engagement with folks outside of Pentecostalism, they imagine that we just think of healing as a supernatural act. You just pray for it and you claim it, or whatever sort of rhetoric that they've been exposed to. We have from long ago established hospitals, established healthcare works, and this was just a testimony to that, right? Like thinking, we're providing medical attention at all sorts of different levels, and praying with people as we're providing medical care. And it's just, again, that reminder of the complexity, but also a little bit more of a wholeness to how do we see the gospel going out? It actually cares for those suffering in the midst of their suffering through whatever means we can provide.
And this is before we enshrine that idea of compassion as one of our core identifying purposes.
Right.
But it was built into us. It's been in there.
Well, healthcare ministries in particular, I think, has been around for close to a decade at this point.
Yeah.
When this edition is written.
Fascinating.
Yeah, and then it becomes Compassion Link, right?
Link,
So I think we should do a shout out to Compassion Link. That's still
Absolutely.
really thriving and doing some just wonderful, fantastic
that's
things
great.
Amen.
that Compassion Link is still doing today.
Love that.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us this week. We're so glad that you could join us and have this conversation with us. So if you are interested, again, let me reiterate that you would click like and subscribe and join us again next week. Thanks.